Once we understand the fundamentals about how floats work, we can use them not only for column layouts, but also for creating some interesting panels and other interface elements. So before we crack on, let's flip over into the browser and see the end result of this particular exercise. I'm switching over into Firefox, and here we can see a 3-column panel, perhaps a biography of the experts on this particular website. So how's this been made? Right, let's flick back into our text editor. And we can see that complicated panel has been made with little more than an unordered list. So looking through the visual, we could see that it was a list of 3 people, each one with a name, and their description and a photograph. Each one of these has been marked up as a list item and given an ID. I've called them 1, 2 and 3, but they could just have easily been called Molly, Andy or Linda, as long as those IDs are unique and only used once on the page. So if we save this file and look at the example with only the browser's default styling, we can see that we've got some sensible semantic markup, although it's not particularly visually exciting. So let's try and fix that now. Let's go back into the code editor, and I'm using some snippets in Dreamweaver, which I've created. So let's first of all style the unordered list itself. And you'll remember from previous exercises that we're removing any default markers, setting a width, zeroing out the margins and padding, and in this particular case, adding a background and a border to the top 20-pixel pink border. So if we have a look at that, let's save that. Flip over into Firefox and see this thing being built up step by step. And there we go. Again, a little bit of work to do, but we can easily fix that. Next up, we can style the list items themselves. And this is where the floats come in. Notice that we've floated each one to the left and given it a width so that the width of all 3 list items will add up. I've also added 2 EMs of padding to the top and the bottom, just to give the layout a little bit more breathing space. So let's save this file, back into the browser and refresh. And it's really starting to take shape. So let's just do some final bits of tidying up. I'm going to style the header 3, just with a little bit of margin and padding. I'm going to style the images that sit inside the H3s. Notice that I'm using the display block property so that the text in the H3 doesn't wrap around the image. And at this point, it's worth just saving and taking another peek in the browser. Almost there. A couple of last things to do. Let's style the paragraphs. Save. Preview. And refresh in here. And there's our final result. Now it's interesting if we nip back into the code editor to see that we can affect the running order, if you like, of those 3 columns. So if I change the float direction on the list items from left to right, again flick back into the browser, we can flick position and the direction left and right. And this is only the start of some of the really interesting interface elements that we can put together using floats.